G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website and YouTube channel Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now, the National Anti-Corruption Commission has finally handed down their report in relation to Robodebt. And obviously, it's a big sweep under the carpet. It's dodgy as. The federal government and the federal opposition have both been happy to sweep it under the carpet. And so have the old media. I've just published an article where I cover key elements that should have been reported on but haven't been, but I've been reporting on them over the last few years. And I'll read that article out now. And the article's titled, Robodebt Cover-Up, Who Was Really to Blame and Where Were the Heroes? I published that on Sunday the 22nd of March 2026. And the article starts off, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is the number one person responsible for the Robodebt cover-up, and that is why the Robodebt report published a week ago was a total failure that protected former Prime Minister Scott Morrison and others. The old media have missed a lot, and in this article, I'll fill in the gaps they missed. They were meant to be heroes that were going to get justice for the 470,000 Australians that were sent unlawful debt assessments, known as Robodebt, from the federal government Centrelink department between 2015 and 2019. But the heroes failed to live up to their promises, and it's from that angle that I wrote this article. I'll name the people who were meant to be heroes and why they failed. The National Anti-Corruption Commission published their Robodebt findings in the Operation Myrtleford report into the Robodebt 6 on the 11th of March 2026. The Robodebt 6 are former Prime Minister Scott Morrison, Catherine Campbell, Serena Wilson, Mark Withnell, Annette Mussolino and Catherine Halbert. Robodebt ran from 2015 until 2019, when it was paused and formally ended by the then Prime Minister Scott Morrison in 2020. It was a huge embarrassment and scandal for the Morrison government. Anthony Albanese and the Labor Party campaigned heavily at the 2022 federal election to get justice for the Robodebt victims, which without a doubt played a part in Labor winning the 2022 federal election. Wikipedia says the Australian government lost a 2019 lawsuit over the legality of the income averaging process and settled a class action lawsuit in 2020. The scheme was further condemned by the Federal Court Justice Bernard Murphy in his June 2021 ruling against the government, where he approved a $1.8 billion settlement, including repayments of debts paid, wiping of outstanding debts and legal costs. Going into the 2022 Australian federal election, Australian Labor Party leader Anthony Albanese pledged to hold a royal commission into the Robodebt scheme if his party was elected. After winning the election, the Albanese government officially commenced the royal commission into the Robodebt scheme in August 2022. And I go on to say, ultimately the Robodebt Royal Commission has been a waste of time and money, with no one being held to account, and Albanese has to take ownership of that. As you'll see below, Albanese's National Anti-Corruption Commission has played a key part in making sure no one is held to account for the Robodebt crimes. Heading, Robodebt Royal Commission, Commissioner Catherine Holmes. Commissioner Catherine Holmes asked for an extension, so the Royal Commission reporting date was extended from the 30th of June 2023 to the 7th of July 2023 to allow the Royal Commission to make referrals to the newly established National Anti-Corruption Commission, which started operations on the 1st of July 2023. But the question is, why did Catherine Holmes do that when there was no justification? Who asked her to do that? Royal Commissions are very powerful and fully investigate matters, so why refer it to the Knack for further investigation? The Robodebt Royal Commission failed to do what other Royal Commissions have done and refer people to the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions for possible criminal charges. And if Catherine Holmes had done that, the Knack Robodebt scandal would not have happened. Instead, at the last minute, Catherine Holmes decided to refer the 6 unnamed people to the Knack. I have no doubt that someone in the Albanese government, probably the then Attorney General Mark Dreyfus, asked Commissioner Catherine Holmes to refer the recommended criminal charges against the Robodebt 6 to the Knack so it could be swept under the carpet. As we all know, Labor and the Coalition did a deal when the Knack was set up, so they would sweep government corruption by politicians and others under the carpet, and having Commissioner Catherine Holmes refer the Robodebt 6 to the Knack is consistent with that deal. It's worth noting in August 2024, I published an article titled Corrupt Robodebt Commissioner Catherine Holmes exposed again trying to protect corrupt politicians. People like Catherine Holmes do not get appointed to head up government inquiries unless they give the government what they want. And while she did a good job running the Robodebt Royal Commission, she poured her findings down the Knack black hole at the end, which destroyed her work and credibility. Heading Knack Commissioner Paul Burton. As we know, Knack Commissioner Paul Burton swept the Robodebt Royal Commission recommendations against the Robodebt 6 under the carpet. And then he was exposed doing so while he had a personal interest in the matter by his friendship with Catherine Campbell, who was one of the Robodebt 6. Knack Commissioner Paul Burton and Catherine Campbell have known each other for years as officers in the Army Reserve, which this website exposed in July 2023 as a potential conflict issue. This is important because, as you'll see below, a key decision maker in the final Knack Robodebt report is also a former Army officer. The Robodebt report had to be a whitewash. Otherwise, Knack Commissioner Paul Burton would have come under great pressure to resign for his cover-up, and that would have ultimately led back to Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the Labor Party, who appointed Burton as Knack Commissioner. If Scott Morrison had been held to account and had criminal charges recommended against him, that would have set a precedent that Anthony Albanese could also be held to account for any past or future crimes. So Albanese made sure that had never happened with his fake Knack. Heading Inspector of the Knack Gale Furnace. When Inspector of the Knack Gale Furnace investigated Knack Commissioner Paul Burton for officer misconduct in 2024, she hired former Judge Alan Robertson to conduct the investigation. But Gale Furnace muzzled Alan Robertson, so he could only investigate Paul Burton and also only investigate Burton for conduct that is not unlawful and a mistake in law or fact, instead of more serious findings such as is unlawful conduct. The net effect is Gale Furnace had Alan Robertson make predetermined findings that protected Knack Commissioner Paul Burton from possible criminal charges and also protected other people involved in the cover-up. If Gale Furnace had done a job properly, it's highly likely that Knack Commissioner Paul Burton and others would no longer be at the Knack. And that might have helped put pressure on the Knack Robodebt investigators to investigate properly. Heading Deputy Knack Commissioner Kylie Kilgore. On page 441 of the Knack Robodebt findings, Operation Myrtleford, under the heading Investigation Team and Deputy Commissioner, it says, on the 4th of April 2025, conduct of the investigation was delegated to Deputy Commissioner Kylie Kilgore, and she had no conflicts of interest in relation to any of the 6 referred persons. If Deputy Commissioner Kylie Kilgore had found there were grounds for criminal charges against the Robodebt 6, that would have meant her boss, Knack Commissioner Paul Burton, was in big trouble for originally sweeping the investigation under the carpet. Deputy Commissioner Kylie Kilgore was in effect investigating her own boss as well as the Robodebt 6. So for her to say she had no conflicts of interest is an out-and-out lie, although she does limit her statement to the 6 referred persons. Deputy Commissioner Kylie Kilgore could have also decided that the investigation met the exceptional circumstances criteria for a public hearing and held public hearings, but she refused to do so, which reeks of a cover-up. The chief advisor for the Knack Robodebt findings, Operation Myrtleford, was Mr Geoffrey Nettle, and Mr Gary Heavy, SC, and Miss Jenny Croxford were appointed as counsel assisting. The report says, Mr Nettle recommended Mr Heavy's engagement, and Mr Heavy recommended Miss Croxford's engagement. Consistent with the Commission's usual practice in appointing counsel assisting, the Commission's legal branch managed their engagement, and the CEO approved the arrangements. Counsel assisting led questioning during the hearings and made submissions to the Deputy Commissioner and Mr Nettle on the findings open to be made against each of the 6 referred persons. Mr Heavy and Ms Croxford had no conflicts of interest in relation to any of the referred persons. Adding Mr Gary Heavy SC. As I said above, Knack Commissioner Paul Burton and Catherine Campbell have known each other for years as officers in the Army Reserve, and that caused a scandal after Paul Burton was exposed trying to sweep the Robodebt 6 investigation under the carpet. So, who did they employ as a key person to run the investigation? Gary Heavy SC, who was another former Army officer. I have no doubt that Major General Catherine Campbell was extremely happy when she found out that another former Army officer, Colonel Gary Heavy, would be investigating her, as she knows they all look out for each other. It is scandalous that Gary Heavy SC was offered the role as counsel assisting, and just as scandalous that he accepted the role. Conclusion. The Knack Robodebt findings cleared 4 people: former Prime Minister Scott Morrison, Catherine Campbell, Annette Mussolino, and Catherine Halbert. The Knack found Serena Wilson and Mark Withnell engaged in corrupt conduct of a serious nature, but concluded that there was insufficient admissible evidence to establish the alleged offences beyond a reasonable doubt, and therefore not appropriate to refer either to the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions. Barrister Geoffrey Watson SC, the Director of the Centre for Public Integrity, said the Knack should not have expressed an opinion on the admissibility of evidence. They should have left that for the appropriate authority, which is the Commonwealth Director of Public Prosecutions. And I go on to say, if there was no corrupt or criminal conduct that would result in criminal charges, then the Knack and others would not have had to act in such a corrupt and criminal way to cover it up. Given the whole process from start to finish has been so obviously corrupt, it says the Knack and others involved know they have serious crimes and corruption that need covering up because it would not survive having light shone on it. Right until the end, including in the final report, they are lying, deceiving. The whole Robodebt cover-up would be comical if it were not so criminal. People are looking for a hero, but there are none. Everyone I've just mentioned had the opportunity to do the right thing and become a hero, but they chose not to. The good news is that voters are awake, and the Robodebt cover-up is one of the reasons why the major parties are tanking in the polls. Now, if you go to my website, Kangaroo Court of Australia, you can click on that article. There's little links to further information. And I'm an independent journalist, and I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself. And I've been running a campaign to make sure I can keep on doing the work I've been doing. And I'll read that out to you. 17 weeks ago, I launched a campaign with a simple goal: find 200 new monthly supporters so I can keep doing this work as a fully independent journalist, running this website and YouTube channel without corporate backing or paywalls. Since then, 150 wonderful people have stepped up and become monthly supporters. That's huge, thank you. We're now at 50 to go. If you've been enjoying the work and aren't yet supporting monthly, I'd be incredibly grateful if you consider joining them. Here's the situation. Like most independent journalists, I'm basically a one-person small business. Right now, a lot of us are feeling the squeeze, just like many small businesses and households are. To stay afloat and keep bringing you the reporting I do, I need roughly 200 more people, well 50 now, chipping in whatever they can comfortably afford each month. Anything from $3 to $100, or whatever works for your budget, makes a real difference. There's no lock-in, you can cancel or adjust at any time. If that feels doable right now, you can see all the donation options on the donations page, and I'll put a link to the donations page below this video on YouTube. Your support, whether it's a monthly donation or one-off donation, or just sharing my work, is what helps keep independent voices like this one alive. And please do your bit and help shine a light on corruption and share this video on social media. And please hit the like and subscribe button and notification button. That way you get notified when I publish new videos. Thank you for your time and have a good day.